Hi everyone, so I'm back with a great hiring update, and this is probably one of the biggest hiring updates that we've seen this year. And this one is related with Infosys. So if you don't know by now, Infosys has just started rolling out emails for on-campus placements for recruitment, and they have some amazing changes. And soon enough, these changes will start getting reflected in off-campus placements as well. So I highly recommend that you watch the complete video because trust me, it's gonna be worth it. So let's talk about the changes first, and then we'll talk about the interviews and the preparation strategy, right? So Infosys has made some amazing changes, right? These changes are gonna blow your mind. So we already know Infosys and the pay scale that they have and the sort of roles that they have, but they have completely revised everything. Okay, so obviously, specialist programmer was something that was talked about a lot in Infosys, right? It was a prestigious role. It is a prestigious role in Infosys, which a lot of people have a dream of getting into. And earlier, specialist programmer or power programmer, whatever you may want to call it had a package of 9.5 LPA. But now they've introduced tiers into it. So now you have tiers under specialist programmer. You have specialist programmer L1, L2, L3. L3 being the highest tier, L1 being the highest tier. And they have completely revised the pay scales. So wait for it. The pay scale for L1 is going to be 10 LPA plus 1 lakh joining bonus. Pay scale for L2 is going to be 16 LPA, and the pay scale for L3 is going to be a whopping 21 LPA. Now, this is for the batch of 2026 right now. Don't get it wrong, it is for freshers, and this is Infosys that we're talking about, right? So, finally, the packages that they have come up with will finally match the standard of the coding round they have. Because you guys already know, all of us already know how hard Infosys coding rounds have been. And I've had people on my channel, people who are working as specialist programmer or power programmer, and they've talked about their interview experiences and everything, right? We know how tough it is, and I'll give those videos in the description box. You can watch them as well, right? So this is going to be amazing because now the packages are high, so of course the stakes are going to be high as well. So again, it's a great thing, right? If you're a fresher and you get into Infosys, obviously the work culture in Infosys for power programmers or specialist programmers are already good, right? I have friends who are working in Infosys as specialist programmers. They've been working for years, and they talk about the work experience being as generally good. They say that the work culture is good. So surely, if you're able to become a specialist programmer in Infosys, it's going to be great for your career, right? And of course, now you have a great package to go along with the great work culture. So, of course, these are the changes that have just been introduced yesterday itself. So they're rolling it out on campus placements, college by college, right? So it has come to a few colleges, and of course, Infosys hires across a variety of campuses, So surely it is going to come to your college as well. So you should know how to prepare for it, and you should know what you can do to crack the best role that is giving you a 21 LPA package. Okay, so for the colleges that have already gotten a mail for this, right? For the colleges that have gotten a mail for the recruitment, so in the mail they would have explained that these are the different packages. You're going to have an exam soon, right? So let's discuss the entire interview process about what is going to be there. See, the interview process hasn't changed. The pay scale has been revised, but the interview process is pretty much more or less similar, right? The only thing is that it's going to be more difficult now because, of course, they've upgraded the pay package. So they're going to have a higher expectation from you, right? Now it's not going to be anymore that it's going to be easy. You're not going to be seeing easy problems. Of course, the stakes will be high because the pay package is high. So the interview expectations are going to be high as well. So let's talk about the interview process first, right? So for this interview process, first you're going to have a coding round. After that, you're going to have a couple of interviews. So it varies, right? Because some people get two interviews, some people get only one interview. And after that, you'll have a HR round. Again, that depends. So, but the two things that will be very important are going to be the coding round and the technical interview. See, based on the coding round, you will be getting an interview call. So the coding round will decide basically what role you'll be getting an interview call for. So it all depends on the coding round. If you're doing good in the coding round, depending on that, you might get a call for a specialist programmer, you might get a call for DSC, you might get a call for something else, right? So, and obviously, a point to note here, and you might have seen this on the mail itself if you have gotten a mail, that if you're already holding an offer from Infosys as a system engineer, you can apply. So if you have zero offers from the batch of 26, you can apply. And if you have an offer of system engineer, again, you can apply. Right. So that is again a good thing that you can have a role upgradation as well. So, like I already said, the interview process is going to be starting with a coding round. Now, this is going to be a 3 hour coding round, and you're going to have three questions. Generally, that's how it goes. You have 3 hour and you have three questions. Of course, like I already said, the stakes have changed, so the questions are not going to be easy, right? It's going to be problem solving, it's going to have DSA, but the level is going to be higher. It's going to be on the higher end. So let's talk about the strategy, right? What you can do to get the most out of OA. So of course, one thing that you absolutely need to do is go through all of the previous coding questions that they have. That is the number one thing you need to do for any company like Infosys. You have TCS Prime, you have the best role of Cognizant. All of these companies, for if you want to get the best role, the first thing you need to do is start with the previous year questions. PYQs, basically, whatever questions they've asked in the past. But generally, what you'll notice is that the first question or one question is going to be doable, which is going to be around medium hard, that majority of the people will be able to do. Now, the next two questions are going to be difficult. They're actually going to be on a hard level. So, if we talk about it from a code forces perspective, if you're a guy who's on code forces, it is going to be on a level of, let's say, 1800 plus, 1900 plus. It may reach 2000 plus, right? That is the level it is going to have. So, of course, there's no expectations that you'll be solving all three problems. If you're solving one and a half or two, for sure you'll get an interview call. And if you're solving, let's say around two or more than two, you might get a call for the best role, right? But your performance in the coding round is going to be essential. So, what you have to do, of course, you have to start with the easiest problem. Do not try to solve the hard problem because it may have an algorithm that you don't know about unless you're a top level computer programmer. If you're a master on code forces, or you're a candidate master on code forces, or you're already a guardian on lead code, you're a top level CP guy, then of course you can try to aim for all three. If you're someone who's just, let's say, a bit average or above average in DSA, don't try to solve everything. Start at the easiest one. Try to solve it as fast as possible because, of course, ranking does matter. Try to solve it as fast as possible. Your speed is going to make a lot of difference because most of the people will be able to solve it. Once you're able to solve it, and we're going to be talking about important topics as well. This is just a general strategy that I'm discussing with you guys. Once you're able to solve that, you move on to the next problem, and again, you try to solve it. Do not waste any time in trying to find the most optimized approach. If you're able to get it, well and good. Otherwise, try to see how you can solve it the best you can, right? So rather than going brute force, rather than going the most optimized way, try to find a way that will help you solve most of the problem. Okay, if you're able to do that, again, well and good, you'll be ahead of a lot of candidates. So two things will matter here. One is going to be speed, and the other is going to be the amount of problem that you're able to do. If you're able to do it fully, of course, that's the best. Otherwise, if you're able to do it more than half, if you're able to do it, a quarter less than full, that's what. So it matters on that. And the most important thing is speed. So you need to make sure that you're not making any compiler errors, you're not making any runtime mistakes. You need to make sure that your code is running on the first try because the speed is going to have a lot of difference. Now, if we talk about the topics, right? So one hard problem is going to be from arrays and strings. That's what we have seen from the past, that generally one problem they give from arrays and strings, which is sort of like a hard level problem. Not easy level problem again, like a lead code hard or lead code medium hard, you can say, right? And other topics, you'll have some advanced concepts. You may have a graph problem with, something a bit complex. You may have a geometry problem. You may have, a tree problem. So advanced topics, right? Of course, you may have a DP problem. Infosys is known for asking DP questions. So what I suggest, how to prepare or how to revise, right? First thing, go through Shriver sheet. Go through Shriver sheet, SD sheet, end to end, so that you get a revision of all the topics like DP, graph, trees. So go through Shriver sheet, just revise it if you haven't already. Go through previous year questions and just do a couple of contests on lead code to get accustomed with solving problems under time. And if you don't want to do lead code, if you want to do code forces, that is well and good. Try to do code forces div 2 and try to solve the first four. In lead code, try to solve the first three. In code forces div 2, try to solve the first four. Once you're in that stage that you have practice of solving problems under time, that's good. Okay, so that at least now you have the mindset that is needed to sit for the coding round, right? So important topics, again, you'll have, of course, some advanced topics, and you'll have one problem from arrays and strings, which will be on the harder side. Now, once you go across the coding round, you're gonna have the interviews. Now, interviews are gonna be easier than the coding round. Interview is gonna be way easier. If you've gone through the interviews, there are only a few things that you need to be careful about. See, we know that Infosys works with Java. We know Infosys works with Spring Boot. So if you're a Java developer, if you're someone who works with Java, expect a lot of questions on Java. Expect a lot of questions on Java. Expect questions on the advanced side like multi-threading, Of course, you'll have the basic questions like object-oriented programming, explain the four pillars with examples, etc. But they will go on a bit of the harder end, like multi-threading, concurrency. You may have, questions from collections like internal implementation, let's say hash map internal implementation. So you need to be good with Java. Of course, if you're a Java guy, if you're not a Java guy, they might ask differently. But generally, the trends I have seen is that they work on Java. So of course, if you have Java, they'll ask you Java, right? So if you ask resources for this, right, I'll just suggest Riddhi Datta's videos. He has made some videos about Java advanced topics. Give them a watch before the interview, and trust me, your interviews are gonna go well. Okay. Apart from that, you will have CS fundamentals, no doubt about it. You will have CS fundamentals. You may have questions from operating system. You may have questions from DBMS. In fact, there's a good chance you'll have questions from DBMS because they're known for asking that, right? You go through all of these interview experiences, you'll see that they have asked questions on that. Okay, so you go through Geeks for Geeks last minute notes to revise. You go through the top 100, top 50 interview questions for each of the CS fundamental topic just to revise. Okay, apart from that, you'll have DSA in the interviews as well. Now, for the interviews, they're going to be choosing DSA, which are more theoretical. They're not going to be choosing questions which are more for coding around. They're going to be asking you questions which are more theoretical so that you'll be able to explain. So, of course, you can expect a tree problem, you can expect a linked list problem, you can expect a stack or queue problem, because all of these are problems in which basically you can have a lot of discussion, right? So make sure that you're good with all of these data structures. For tree, make sure you're good with, or see, for all of these data structure, let's go one by one, right? For example, for tree, try to do all of the classic problems beforehand, like, all sort of traversals, depth-wise, left to right to left, whatever it is, right? All the views of the tree, from root to a leaf node, from parent to child, whatever, all the classic questions in tree, make sure you revise that. Similarly, in linked list, right? All of the classic questions, make sure you revise that. Stack and queue, all of the classic questions, all of the hard questions that are there on lead code, make sure you revise that because there's a good chance you may get a variation of it. And of course, you have to do a good job of explaining the things in the interview, because like I always say, the interview is more about the thought process and the explanation rather than getting to an exact solution. You have to get to a solution, but more important is the journey there, like how you're getting to the problem, how you're getting to the solution of the problem, right? So once you do all of that, you're already in a good state. Now, apart from all of this, you will have one thing which is Infosys is very famous. In fact, not only Infosys, any company like Infosys, TCS, Wipro, Cognizant, whatever you name it, right? All of these companies will 100% ask you in the interviews about your project. So you should be knowing how to explain your project the best way. I've made an entire video about this, right? You can give that video a watch. I've made an entire video about how to explain your project in an interview. Okay, so you can watch that video. Now, you have to explain your project well. You have to be good with your project. So what I would do if I were you, if I were going for the interview, if I was going for the interview, I'll just open my project and I'll make a drawing. I'll make a sort of like a design of it, sort of like a low level design. Like that's how the pages are, that's how things are connecting. Just go through the flow of your entire project. See, whenever you have to explain your project, you have to explain everything. You have to explain the tech stacks, you have to explain the reasoning for using them, you have to explain the purpose that the project is fulfilling, you have to explain the flow that is happening. So better to keep everything together. Just try to make some notes about the best project you have, all of the projects you have in your resume, and try to make notes of them. And of course, you can revise those notes before the interview. So all of the common questions that they will ask, you'll see in my video as well. So just go through that video, you'll understand how to explain. But you need to be having revised your projects completely. Okay, so after that, of course, it may be followed up by another technical interview, or you may go to the HR round or the final round directly. HR round, managerial round are going to be pretty much what they have in any other company, right? So it's not going to be too much of a difference. The main two hurdles, right, are the first rounds only, the first two rounds only, the coding round, which is the biggest hurdle, and then you have the interview. Once you go past both of these successfully, then nothing much more to worry about. Okay, so this is how the entire interview process is going to look like. I'll give you guys a lot of interview experiences in the description box. Go through all of them one by one. I'll give you guys some resources. Go through them as well one by one. And all the best for your interviews. If this company, Infosys, is coming to your college, 100% go for it. Give your best shot, and surely you'll be able to get as a specialist programmer L3. And sure enough, after people get shortlisted, I'll get someone on my channel to make a podcast with, entire podcast about how to crack specialist programmer L3 role. So keep watching for that video as well. And apart from that, a lot of more companies are coming off campus. This one was on campus, but I still wanted to talk about it. Usually I don't talk about on campus recruitments on my channel, but I really wanted to talk about this because, of course, this is a great hiring update, and the changes they've made is incredible, unexpected. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Just go through the resources, go through the description box, we'll get everything and more. Like videos and openings are going to come, so make sure that you subscribed. A lot more openings are coming. Make sure that you're well prepared for them. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Let's see you guys in the next video.